Well, Elon Musk has had private discussions about how the British Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, could be removed from power without an election. That bombshell revelation is in today's Financial Times. It marks the second time in the past month that the mercurial right-wing billionaire has attempted to influence the politics of a country he isn't a citizen of. Last month, he publicly endorsed the far-right Alternative for Germany party ahead of elections there next month. It's unlikely Musk will find any way he can push Starmer out of 10 Downing Street. The British PM's Labour Party has an enormous majority in Parliament.
The situation is rapidly deteriorating and Keir Starmer's political landscape is crumbling before our eyes. Alarming new data has prompted many, including Elon Musk, to demand his immediate resignation. Former Labour MP Simon Dankchuk has unveiled disturbing revelations that have unsettled the party's foundations. He alleges that senior Labour figures strongly discouraged him from discussing individuals linked to child care organisations during his time in Parliament. Musk highlights the troubling period when Starmer was the chief prosecutor of England and Wales, which coincided with a major scandal that shook the nation. He accuses Starmer of neglecting to hold those responsible accountable and has consistently called for a national investigation. This raises a critical question: why? It seems they were more concerned about preserving their electoral positions than ensuring the safety of children. It's truly shocking.
I'm not sure about improvement. I think Musk has already wreaked quite a lot of damage, or even quite a lot of consciousness raising. You know, the stuff that he's been saying about the grooming gangs or the child rape gangs scandal. He has actually got it onto the agenda. But Vanessa, the first thing to say, I don't think Keir Starmer needs much help at the moment to sabotage UK politics, because he's doing a very good job all by himself.
Now, really, I mean, I could take you on. We could go head to head on this, but I do know, because I only discussed this, a matter of hours ago with my lovely listeners, and a lot of them do think that he's done a surprisingly depressing and distressing job incredibly quickly. Others don't, obviously. Yeah.
When Simon Dankchuk was elected as the MP for Rochdale in 2010, he encountered a profound crisis that deeply affected him. For 3 grueling years, he fought tirelessly against abuse, resurrecting old cases and igniting scandals that reverberated throughout the nation. Yet, instead of receiving support, his party ordered him to remain silent. This betrayal was simply intolerable. Keir Starmer was directly implicated in the cover-up of horrific crimes. Members of the Labour Party were instructed to keep quiet about this massive disaster, while the prosecutor, who was meant to safeguard the innocent, made grave errors. It's no surprise that people accuse him of complicity in the issue when the justice system failed these children under his leadership at the Crown Prosecution Service. Starmer's popularity is plummeting, and it's not a coincidence. How can anyone trust a man who was supposed to protect the most vulnerable but now appears to be part of a system that has let them down? Keir Starmer was a public prosecutor, and I genuinely believe he has failed the victims by abandoning them in their time of need. This is not just a glaring example of how appalling and widespread this cover-up was.
In only 6 months. Yeah. But look, the thing to remember, I suppose, is that whatever we think of them, neither Dominic Cummings nor Elon Musk is elected. They've never been elected, and they're not accountable in any way to the British people, are they?
No.
One of them has way, way too much money, and the other one, frankly, has way too much time on his hands. I think particularly Cummings, he's desperately looking for a way back into politics, back into the front line. He's looking for a way to make himself relevant again. And this is great fun. I mean, it's a funny story, because do we think anyone would vote for a Startup UK or Startup Party? I don't think anyone. If you want reform, if you want a sort of overturning of British politics, you're probably voting reform anyway, aren't you?
Dankchuk wasn't merely making vague statements, he was naming names. Among those who urged him to remain silent was Tony Lloyd, the then leader of the Parliamentary Labour Party. Reports indicate that Lloyd consistently pressured Dankchuk not to address the issue even during private meetings. He had also received similar advice from Jim Dobbin, another notable parliamentarian. This suggests that the problem was deeply entrenched within the party itself, rather than stemming from the actions of a single individual. In this light, Starmer's predicament becomes even more concerning. He was responsible for investigating these horrific crimes while heading the Crown Prosecution Service. All the while, his party colleagues were being silenced about issues that were devastating lives. He is now facing intense criticism for his inaction and failure to protect those who needed safeguarding. How can he remain in office when the safety of children is compromised for the sake of political ambitions? This isn't just a mistake, it's a profound betrayal.
Those that are spreading lies and misinformation as far and as wide as possible, they're not interested in victims. They're interested in themselves. Those who are cheerleading Tommy Robinson, not interested in justice. They're supporting a man who went to prison for nearly collapsing a grooming case, a gang grooming case. But when the poison of the far right leads to serious threats to Jess Phillips and others, then in my book, a line has been crossed. I enjoy the cut and thrust of politics, the robust debate that we must have, but that's got to be based on facts and truth, not on lies.
These individuals have endured unimaginable suffering, and now they are vehemently criticizing Starmer for his actions, or worse, his inaction during his time as head of the Crown Prosecution Service. Woodhouse even took the courageous step of urging Musk's critics to calm down and mature, as if to say, this guy's genuinely helping us. Put aside your political differences. Politics has no bearing on the plight of these victims. Survivors of abuse are praising this controversial billionaire because he is doing more for them than their own government. And that encapsulates the tragedy of the situation. An increasing number of people are demanding answers, and the Prime Minister is facing severe backlash for failing to address these horrific crimes earlier. We are talking about the lives of real people, their pain and suffering, and as more victims come forward, the situation for Starmer and his administration becomes increasingly dire. This is not merely a political drama, it is a genuine tragedy unfolding right before our eyes.
They want Elon Musk gone, X turned off, and freedom of speech stamped out. Starmer himself has said he's going to look at social media laws in the wake of the riots and even revisit the Online Safety Act. And right on cue, of course, the Westminster elite are now circling. Guardian columnists got their knickers in a twist, saying Musk should be on trial in the UK for inciting the riots. And Keir Starmer's champagne socialist biographer, Tom Baldwin, called for regulation of social media platforms, even saying free speech was not absolute. Make no mistake, the minority racist idiots who caused the worst of these riots have opened the floodgates for a power grab of our civil liberties under this Labour government. And it's a crying shame that it's a US-based South African who's the only one with the balls to stick up for British citizens.
But that's not all. The situation is becoming even more bizarre, as Musk is not only targeting Starmer but also the entire government. He even questions whether America should intervene to free the British people from their repressive regime. Isn't that ridiculous? He appears to see himself as Britain's political savior. Yet Musk doesn't stop there. He is actively rallying support from other politicians, including Environment Minister Jess Phillips, suggesting that Starmer's former role as head of the SEEPs is tied to his unwillingness to confront groomer gangs. The situation is further complicated by the fact that the Labour Party is blocking a national inquiry into childcare. Musk is skillfully leveraging public outrage to his advantage. This significant international contract stems from the fallout of Starmer's previous missteps. According to one of the wealthiest individuals in the world, the British Prime Minister deserves to be behind bars. Meanwhile, Starmer believes this chaos won't simply fade away. Musk continues to keep this issue in the spotlight, using his vast platform to draw attention to this shocking situation.
Elon Musk, in an interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin at the New York Times DealBook Summit, saying this to advertisers who've left X over his endorsement of anti-Semitic content.
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f*** yourself. But go f*** yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is.
Seems pretty clear.
Elon Musk has ignited a genuine scandal, capturing the attention of celebrities and the public alike. Yes, it's him, the man who typically talks about rockets and electric cars on Twitter, who has chosen to dive into British politics and is making no effort to conceal it. It's astonishing how aggressively he is targeting Keir Starmer. Musk is calling for Starmer to resign and even suggesting he should face imprisonment. On his page on the social network X, he shared a provocative post about Starmer's potential incarceration, labeling him a disgrace to the country and alleging his involvement in a shocking case. But what's behind these claims? Musk highlights that numerous cases involving groomer gangs were either concealed or overlooked during Starmer's time as head of the Crown Prosecution Service. He is essentially accusing Starmer of failing to adequately investigate these horrific crimes. Share your thoughts in the comments and see you later.